so DC has basically reigned supreme in the superhero world as far as TV shows go, for the most part. From the animated awesomeness of Justice League and Batman the Animated Series, to the live-action coolness of Arrow. And now we've come to Gotham. And yes, I know I'm a little late here, but I haven't been able to watch any episodes until recently, but now I've watched all of them. So today I'll be giving you my opinions on Gotham. Is it good, or is it bad? And yes, I am trying to work on a more creative title. Anyway, let's start. Let's begin with the good. This show has a lot going for it. Firstly, Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock. The guys playing them are very good in their roles. Benjamin McKenzie isn't exactly Gary Oldman, but he does do a very good job. I didn't know much about Harvey Bullock besides he was that big jerk officer from Batman the Animated Series. This show fills me in on what I need to know. He's a cop who normally wants good, but his methods are not always the best. Oh yeah, and he's also corrupt as heck.
Falcone wants you to walk him to the end of that pier and put a bullet in his head. Then everybody knows you're with the program.
Anyway, those two are awesome. The kid who plays Bruce Wayne does a good job as well, and while I will have some complaints about his character later, that's more the writing's fault. The girl playing Selina Kyle does a good job as well, and in my opinion, one of the best characters on the show is Falcone. Unlike a lot of the characters on the show, this guy is more straight to the point and is there to get stuff done. The guy playing Oswald Cobblepot does a good job as well, but I do have one negative with his character. I always wanted to see a Penguin that's just this cunning businessman kind of guy. When you catch the Penguin, you don't put him in Arkham Asylum, you put him in prison, because he isn't crazy. While Danny DeVito's Penguin is good, he's completely insane in that. And while the Penguin in this is a bit saner, he's still not really a methodical businessman. The closest we've ever gotten to an accurate representation of the Penguin is from Batman 66. And that is really weird to think about. Anyway, with the stuff he's given, the actor portraying Penguin does a good job. Oh, and by the way, his voice sounds exactly like Jonah Hill. Seriously.
Perhaps. But what would he do if I told him that you were spying on him for Fish Mooney?
And my final good point for the show is that the show is nearly all of the time entertaining. I never really found myself bored while watching, and that's normally how I judge if a film or TV show is good or not. If it entertained me. Because that is, after all, usually the main purpose of most films and TV shows. And for the most part, this show has me entertained. I wasn't on the edge of my seat or anything, but I was really into it. And now for the bad. First off, the big obvious point that everyone's made. The writers tried to shoehorn in as many Batman Easter eggs as they could. Now, it was mainly in the first 2 episodes, but it was so obnoxiously in your face. Easter eggs are supposed to be little inside jokes for fans to point at and be like, I know what that means, cause I'm a fan of this thing. But in this show, it is insultingly obvious. Let's have a speed round. First off, the Riddler. This guy they call Nigma walks up. They ask him a question. He answers in a flat-out riddle.
What else you got?
What's nowhere, but everywhere, except where something is? Nothing.
Then they're like, enough with the riddles, Ed. Second of all, Poison Ivy. This little red-headed girl answers the door, and Gordon's like, what's your name? She says Ivy.
What's your name?
Ivy.
I was like, no it isn't. Your name is Pamela Isley. Then her home is like a greenhouse and there are plants everywhere. Listen, I'll let it slide that you called Catwoman Cat even though her name should be Selina. But it would have been a great Easter egg for that little girl to say her name is Pam or something. Also, the Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot, like I said, is one of the cool characters in the show. But after a while of calling him Oswald, people start calling him Penguin, which really annoys him and me. I guess it's a mean nickname, but come on, his name is Cobblepot, not Penguin. Also, little 8-year-old Bruce Wayne starts holding his hand over a candle and standing on the roof, and he's all like, I'm conquering fear. That's so stupid. This is a kid whose parents got completely wrecked in front of him like a week ago, and he's already trying to be Batman. The actor does a good job, but he should be grieving for at least the first couple episodes. He's one step away from getting a pet bat and calling it Man. That kind of is related to my next gripe, which is the Waynes dying. The Waynes have never been explored in any Batman movie or TV show that I know of. They're always just there to get some bullets put in them. And because the show is focusing on Gotham in a time where Bruce Wayne is a little kid, it could have given us a bit of insight into the Waynes. Some insight that we've never really gotten outside of the comics. But nope, they're gunned down within the first 10 minutes of the show. Another complaint is a lot of characters in the show are quite cartoony. That's the only way to describe them. Overacting. Edward Nygma is a prime example. Also, sometimes Oswald Cobblepot starts doing this evil laugh that is straight out of a cartoon. But mainly those two henchmen in episode 2 were just really annoying. Something I would like to mention now is that my first complaint about the really annoyingly obvious Batman references has really faded. The Easter eggs have been tuned way down. So really, that leaves me mostly with two complaints. The cartoony and overacting characters, and the Waynes being murdered right away. And really, what with two strong main characters and a rather entertaining story, Gotham is actually pretty good. It definitely has its flaws, but it isn't bad by any standards. Overall, I would recommend this to Batman fans, and fans of a pretty good cop show. The first 2 episodes aren't that great, but it gets a lot better after that. Oh, and if you can't stand the sight of blood, this isn't for you. Now, there isn't a ton of blood on the show. I guess it's just because I've gotten so used to PG-13 superhero movies, where if someone gets punched in the face, nothing much happens. This show, someone gets punched in the face, they come up looking like they bathed in ketchup. Alright, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. In the end, at least at where we are now in the show, I will say Gotham is really enjoyable, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10. So, those were my opinions on Gotham. What do you think of it? Also, I can only watch so many superhero shows, so I want to get the best. So, let me know in the comments what are the best superhero shows. Arrow? Flash? Smallville? Be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.